of a tool chain that is suitable for embedded agile or IoT agile or agile IoT, however you might want to call that, development. Consists of a bunch of tools, and the starters package is consists mainly of open source tools, which can give you a quick start into IoT development. And primarily the work of the last sprint, or this sprint as it's still running, was to get a clearer definition of the starter package, collect additional information about all these tools, and bring them together within the ioRaptor, and to make them installable. And that is the promise behind the ioRaptor regarding the starters package, then that you can easily find and locate these tools and automatically install them, and find documentation and tutorials about how to effectively use them. And that's what we've been working on, and will still continue to work on. So what did we do since last review? That's the architecture view that you probably know. ioRaptor consists of a desktop application, that's a Qt cross-platform desktop application, which talks to the ioRaptor API backend. And this here is labeled API backend, but it's also a backend with a web UI for registration and locating information. And the tools, especially those of the starter package, are defined in that sort of registry here, where all information about these tools is stored, including links to tutorials, to documentation, and most important, links to downloads, where to download all that stuff. Additionally, we have an ioRaptor documentation project and a documentation site, which will contain all the information about these tools. And here are the third-party tool vendors. So that's the rough architecture of ioRaptor as a solution. And as you can see on the left, the third-party tool vendor button rectangle is grayed out. In the last review, we mentioned that we want to get started on the integration of vendor APIs whenever it comes to installation of tools, for example, and when it comes to an automated passing of registration information from the Raptor to the vendor. This did not happen in the last sprint, since we shifted focus from there and efforts from there into documentation, because we believe that at present the documentation, a valid and usable documentation site, is more important to you as users compared to the functionality of a vendor integration. So that's why it's grayed out a bit. But what do we do? First, to the ioRaptor desktop app. We now have cross-platform installers ready, thanks to Qt and the Qt development environment. They also deliver a basic installer that is able to install a desktop application. And this is, of course, as Qt is cross-platform, the installers are cross-platform themselves. So we're sort of ready to be shipping. You can now expect to have something downloadable in a format that's running on your platform and installs in a valid way for your platform. We've also been working on the release process, because we're shipping versions of a desktop app and a web app and an API, as well as versions of the registry in different contexts. And these have to work together, these maybe different versions, and we needed some form of release process which yields artifacts that can be run and installed, and that can be checked for validity as well. So the installers are about, and the release process are about the desktop app itself, but we've also been working on the installation of starter package components. For example, if you say, oh yeah, I need an IDE, this and that, or I need embedded toolchain management, that needs to be installed as well. And ioRaptor mediates the process of downloading and installation. And yeah, quite some work has gone into that very installation of starter package components. But we now feel that we have a good, solid foundation for the desktop app to be delivered to you, can be installed, can be tried out, and yeah, it's working. Okay, onto the API backend and the web backend as well. A lot of work has been, of course, going into that form of production readiness, meaning API and the web stuff is running at some cloud. We had to set up some virtual machines there, attach load balancers and shuffle containers and the typical DevOps stuff, you might say. That's production readiness. And yeah, we reached that quite good. And it's still ongoing. But the state as it is of now is definitely usable. And we made some API and web UI improvements. API is typically minor stuff that can't be seen on the surface because it's hidden by the desktop app, but that's something under the hood. And web UI improvements mainly in terms of usability. Okay, starter package. You've seen on the first slide all that components of the starter package. So that has received some updates, some fixes of broken download links and stuff. And still working on tagging all the products, meaning you can find them using tags. That's a lot of work to be done. That's still ongoing. And we've been working on the installation scripts, which is additionally quite some work because they have to also run cross-platform. And as you know, the minor subtle differences between, I don't know, Linux, Windows, and macOS. So that makes it, I wouldn't say complicated, but it's just a bunch of work to do. That's what has been done. Okay, and regarding the ioRaptor documentation, as participants, you already had the access details to our Confluence wiki, which contained a good part of that documentation as it has been. But we have seen that maybe that hosted Confluence site is not the best solution that we can have regarding ioRaptor as a service. So we decided to pull that documentation from Confluence into the ioRaptor backend itself. And yeah, to do that, we started the documentation project. I can show you a bit of that, of the current implementation status within the demo, within the next minutes. Yeah, but that project has been kicked off, started, and the first bunch of documentation has already moved and will continue to grow there. Okay, so these have been the improvements since the last review. Let's take a look at the application. So this is the web app, www.ioRaptor.thingforward.io. And yeah, it needs a sign-in. So we already have accounts. If you visit that site, you can use sign up with your email address. That's necessary, and a password. And we can sign up. You'll receive an activation link for that registration, similar to other services that click on that link and get registered. And then, yeah, you can sign in here, which I'll do now. Yeah, let's take my account. Oops. There we go. There's not much content behind it yet. The About page is more or less empty, but the most important page at present is the Downloads page, on which you have access to the most recent release and all historic releases of ioRaptor. And yeah, you can see here, current release is 0.20, so quite early. Stuff is hosted in binary form at GitHub, or you can use the links which point you to GitHub. There's installers for Windows, for OS X, and for Linux. And if you like, share sums signed by GPG, so you can check the validity of these. So I already have it installed at my PC, so no need to, but you can download that here. The count page is, as we do not collect any personal data, this is pretty much empty. Yeah, well, to the documentation section. We felt that documentation is one of the really major parts of this product, because the installers, well, that's the first touch point, let's say, get you the tools onto your desktop. Well, what to do then? You typically want to know as a user, okay, how do I install these packages? Well, that's at least triggered by ioRaptor. But then what's next? So how am I going to use all that stuff? And we felt that we do not need a big reference documentation, because, I mean, these tools aren't our tools, but from third-party vendors. And the vendors already have the documentation. But what we want to give you is getting started guides to get you started real quick, and tutorials and demos, and maybe technical insights into the inner workings of tools. And since this is about agile embedded development, you have a bunch of tools that typically need to work together in an agile tool chain. We want to provide you with documentation and tutorials of how to make all the links between the tools to get the tool chain up and running. So this looks a bit different. It still needs sort of refactoring and UI improvements. It doesn't kick you to another site. It's still the same website, but it just changes the phase. And you can always go back, but this is the theme of Read the Docs, quite popular tool for maintaining static website documentation. And as you can see here, we've shoveled over the documentation pages from the Confluence wiki for our modules and the tools that we have within the starter package. So you can find that here. And moreover, we started with installation guides for OS X, Windows, and Linux. So these tell you how to actually install the ioRaptor and yeah, actually use it. So that's the documentation part. Yeah, that's pretty much it at present for the documentation section. As I said, it will definitely grow. Plus, we are planning a webinar series starting mid of March, and you can expect a new webinar roughly every 2 weeks about different topics of the starter package tool chain, and how to set them up, how to make them work together, and yeah, how to do agile IoT development. So that was the web page, and now let's take a quick look at the ioRaptor desktop app. Oh no, still fiddling around with that. That's the ioRaptor desktop app. We included a login page, so that is the same login as the web page, of course. Yeah, you can see my password, so it logs you in. And here you can see the different categories. I think I already showed that during the last webinars. So improvements have been made for the keyword section, and especially the links behind these products have improved. Broken links have been fixed, and yeah, downloads are working right now. So when I select a tool here, and by clicking on the center logo, it downloads the stuff. Okay, that was a small one, catch 2, 400 kilobytes, that was quite empty. It downloads to the downloads folder, which is more or less fixed on all platforms, like it's the downloads folder in the user directory. And then it asks you ready to install, which we're currently working on. For executables. This works, but I think for this agile testing thing, not yet. So yeah, I'm not installing this right now. But yeah, we have a lot of UI improvements. Still need to fix that, as you see in the auto sizing and auto zoom when changing desktops. That's a strange thing. And yeah, what we're already working on is the definition of the starter package in this context. So you could select starter package here, and it automatically selects from all the modules the tools that are defined by the starter package and puts them in your tool chain. And that's the promise that we want to make, that you can, after logging in and selecting starter package, that's the one click, and downloading them is the second click, and same installing, yes, it's the third click, and after the third click, all installations are kicking off for all the tools. So that's what we want to reach by end of this sprint. Yeah, okay. And this is the version that you can already download right now. So if you want to give it a try, sign up at ioRaptor Thingforward.io, and yeah, choose the download link according to your platform, and yeah, try it out. So back to the slides. What are the next steps? Next implementation steps in the current sprint, and well, yeah, upcoming sprints as well. We want to improve the communicative user interface. That's the line where you can type in search terms. First improvement is, of course, the selection, the pre-selected starter package. That you just select starter package and already have your shopping basket filled with all the tools to download all the necessary stuff. And we want to introduce more search terms. Right now, each tool contains a bunch of tags, but we want to have much more of these, so you can more easily find and locate the product that you're looking for. And of course, make starter package products fully automatically installable. This is still a bunch of work to be done because, yeah, as I already said, cross-platform installing is a daunting task. And yeah, that's our promise that we made, and we continue to work on that to be fully automatically installable. Yeah, add documentation to websites, so this will definitely grow through the next 3 weeks. Yeah, I already talked about the documentation side, which moved from Confluence to the core product, and we're closing this Confluence site as we are closing the prototyping phase. So this will vanish, and the links to the Confluence site are going to vanish within the next week, I think, the next days. Still going on, of course, bug fixing and continuous improvement. So an upper part of our upcoming sprint, there will be upcoming sprints, but not for the prototyping phase anymore. We've given ourselves 3 sprints roughly for the prototype phase. That's what we started beginning with December with the kickoff. Then we had the sprint review webinars, and now end of February the prototyping phase is actually coming to an end with the release of usable software. That's where we are right now. But of course, we will continue to work on this product with these steps here and probably many more. So you can definitely expect more from us. So at this point, I really want to say thank you. Thank you very much for following us along through the prototyping phase. Thank you for your feedback. That was really valuable to us. And of course, thank you, a big thank you to the team as well, to Dominik and Erin, to Shelley and Jens, and to Edgar and Oliver. Thanks for making this possible and working on the ioRaptor. Okay, so you can still expect a lot from us. New releases, new working software, and of course the webinars starting mid of March. And we will send additional emails and inform you about the upcoming webinars. So we will be happy if you will be joining that. What can you do now? Yeah, give us a visit. www.ioRaptor Thingforward.io. Sign up, sign in, download. And I invite you to follow us on Thingforward, on Twitter, @Thingforward, for upcoming news. And also we have a LinkedIn group where we post updates as well. So if you like, follow us there too. This webinar is recorded, as always, and we're going to put the links and the slides and the recording on our website at thingforward.io. So feel free to have a look there for the links and the videos. Okay, so much for the sprint review. Any questions up to now? Okay, if not, thank you again for following. Thanks for joining. And I hope to see you soon on ioRaptor and downloading and using the stuff. Thank you very much and bye.